Hello, everybody, and welcome to our first ever Q&A with the Harcourts Milestone Projects team. I hope you're all keeping extremely well. I know it's been a little bit crazy, but we're all here to answer every single one of your property questions. There were over 100 submissions, which we are so incredibly humbled by. So thank you so much. What we will do is we'll try our best to answer our top 10 most asked questions. And after that, we are actually thinking about carrying this on a little bit just because of the amazing response we had. So with that in mind, let's launch straight into it. The first question is actually for Aman Panu, our Director of Sales of Projects. Hi, Aman, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
I am good. It's quite good. So let's go with the question. Why did you become a real estate agent and how long have you been in the industry for?
First thing first, I became a real estate agent because back in the days when I started, which was about 17 years to next month, real estate was technically the only business that could be started without any capital investment upfront. There is technically no product that you sell. There is no shop that's needed. There is no warehousing that's required. All you got to do is have an incredible knowledge, be trustworthy, honest, transparent, and you'll have a sound career. I think 17 years being in the trade, that's probably a testament to all of that. So yeah, that was the easiest way. I happen to absolutely love doing what I do, and hence building the office at Botany and all the other bits and pieces. But yeah.
That is an incredible story as well. I hope one day we have enough time to actually launch into it because I know it's a good one. Now we will launch into the next question, which was, is there a reason a real estate agent is needed when buying and selling a property? And this question is actually also for Armin, so let's go with that.
Answer would be yes. I think that'll be the smart thing to do. If for nothing else, fact is that real estate agents are expected to be bound by the law. So if you are purchasing a property, I would always have a real estate agent involved, because then I know that if there is anything wrong with the property, if there is any work done, or if there is anything unpermitted carried out at the property, the real estate agent has to advise you. Even to the point that, let's say, a purchaser before you buying a property did a building inspection report and some faults came about in that building inspection report, hence the first purchaser didn't buy. You end up becoming the second purchaser. Fact is that the real estate agent has to advise you of those issues that came out in the building inspection report. And I think that's just a very good base. Equally, when you're selling a property, there are just so many unknown things. If I give you the most latest example, was a client in North Park, where we were selling a 3-bedroom house on a corner, and we had purchased a property for them down at Bremner Ridge. We were looking at selling the house as a 3-bedroom and all your normal shebang, but then we figured out that, hang on, the zoning on that property is different, which meant that all of a sudden, rather than expecting a sale price of $1.1 million, we actually ended up selling it for $1,460,000. So now you tell me, if these clients were selling it privately or through one of these outfits where you have X amount of sort of commission or fee charged, you just don't get that service. So if you look at it, you kind of go, well, what do you want to do? Aren't you selling to make the most buck? And if that's the answer, well, don't you think that a real estate agent is probably the only one who's vested into making sure that you get the best possible money, because that's how we technically get paid? Sorry, not trying to sound greedy or any of that stuff. I'm pretty sure those of you who know me, that's not the case. But yes, short answer is you should have a real estate agent most definitely to buy, and by all means to sell your property, because that's how you realize the actual potential of your house.
Yeah. No, absolutely. That's a great answer. Thank you for that. Now, the next question is actually for Jack, our youngest person in the team, and amazing work. So can we sell or buy a home during level 3 or 4, Jack?
Yes, we can. Whilst during level 4, there are no physical inspections but during level 3, there are physical inspections allowed, but only in limited numbers.
Yep, that's fair. I think that's a very strong answer. Thank you for that, Jack. Now, the next question is for Ash. Ash, what are some important questions to ask real estate agents when interested in a house?
Good question. Look, this question has many answers, but to just point out a few, to ask a real estate agent, it's always important. Ask them, is there any unpermitted work done on the property? Real estate agent, if they know, they are legally bound to tell you this. Ask them, has there been any leaks or structural defects that have been fixed? These first two are important for you to just be more happy when you're purchasing a property, that you know everything's good to go. Also, a couple of other good questions are current school zones around the home. I know that's important to a lot of families. And one other thing that isn't common is always asking your real estate agent, especially at open homes, what else is currently around in the market. A good real estate agent will always know what is on the market for you to especially go and compare to the selected property.
Awesome. No, thank you for that, Ash. That is amazing. Now, question number 5 is for Tigbir Singh, also known as Tiggy. Now, Tiggy, how do I know if my property is subdividable?
Firstly, thanks for pronouncing my name correctly.
I'm sorry. It's a bit nerve-wracking being on the hosting front, okay?
Okay, so key question, I think quite a valid question in today's day and age, especially when there's a lot of council plans changing, unitary plans are changing. So it's quite a key thing to understand, especially for your own property. A few different things to check. So if I just quickly run through them, obviously there's a lot more in-depth analysis that's required on each of these points, but just to give you a quick background. First point of check is to ensure we check the title. On the title, we have a number of instruments, for example, covenants, consent notices. It's important to look through those. They will sort of stipulate what you can and can't do within your property. So that's first and foremost. So as long as your title allows you to go ahead and subdivide, that's first point confirmed. Now, moving on from that, it's quite key to figure out which zone your property falls in. So easiest thing to check there is ensure you go into the unitary plan maps within council websites. Type your property address in, and that will tell you what zone your property falls in. From there, you then pick up the category of that zone. You then search up council unitary plan PDF documents or your text documents, and you look at the specific zone within those documents. Those documents will then tell you, based on council rules and regulations, what your coverage percentage looks like, how high you can build, and it'll give you a lot more technical sort of information, and that will allow you to calculate how many units will fit on essentially your site. So that's first. Once we sort of figure that out, you then kind of go into looking at council GIS maps. Now, this is quite a key thing to check because there are a number of different things that we need to check when subdividing a property. So GIS maps allows you to do a quick analysis of these things. So you go into GIS maps within council and type in your property address. Within here, you then need to check a number of things, just to quickly sort of rant off a few of them. We need to look at services. So we need to look at stormwater, we need to look at wastewater. We need to make sure that the services are available on site. If they're not available on site, then we need to make sure that we can access them through public walkways, public paths, etc. So we need to make sure that the access is available. We need to check overland flow paths. So we need to check if there's any overland flow paths running through the property, or if there's any floodplains. A floodplain is, if you think about it, it's essentially flooding within your property. So your property is like a bowl, and in that bowl you have water. So we need to, if there is a floodplain sort of running through that property, we need to ensure that when we're doing the sort of technical calculations of how you're going to design the units, we need to take into account foundations and engineering and bits and pieces. So that's quite a key check. We also need to check for covered into trees. We also need to check sort of once you kind of once you kind of figure out the main sort of bits and pieces, you then kind of go on, you then need to do sort of business feasibility. Based on your analysis, you'll figure out, okay, on my site, I can sort of design a number of units here. Well, then what does the costing look like? What is the costing of the subdivision? What is the costing of the civil works? What are the costing of the actual buildings, the consenting fees, the council fees? So you need to kind of go and do your business feasibility. A couple of ways you can do that. You can either appoint a builder or an architect, and they can work you through these bits and pieces and how the costing sort of comes out through them. We, as part of our service here at Harcourts Milestone, we do a number of business feasibilities for clients. So we look through their properties, we analyze them, we figure out what's the maximum sort of gain you can do within sort of subdividing a property. We look at sort of from a market point of view, well, if we were to do 3 units, how much does that cost? How much does that sell? What are your margins looking like? Or if you were to do, sort of drop the size of the units and do say 5, what are the sort of market feasibility looking like that? And what are the margins sort of come out to? So there's a few sort of technical analysis piece that needs to be done from a business perspective. So we do provide that sort of option.
Amazing. No, there's definitely a lot of work involved, and it is good to have some knowledgeable people around the team. And I believe Aman wants to add a little something as well.
Look, you could quite equally go to your local city council and ask for a meeting with the town planner. I know that Manningham City Council these days, you only do it via private appointment with the town planner. And you could just sit in front of a town planner and they'll be able to tell you that, look, if you can or can't subdivide. But what they cannot tell you is if your title has a restriction. So like Tiggy mentioned earlier, checking your title is number 1. Just like, let's say, I'm aware parts of Eastern Beaches areas have got sections that are 1,000 square meter, 1,200, 1,500, and they cannot subdivide. Equally, there are parts in Takanini and Pepakura. Well, most of Takanini and Pepakura comes in flood zone and has got a peat. So it's very area specific, but easiest thing is either you do all of those things by yourself, or you get a town planner and pay the town planner to get that advice, or you could go to the Manningham City Council, or you could quite equally just drop us an email or give us a call, and then we take it from there.
Absolutely. No, that's awesome. Thank you, Tiggy and Aman, for that. That is very knowledgeable information right there. The next question is for Ash. Ash, when are our new property valuations coming out?
Very popular question. Everyone is very eager to find the answer out to this.
Oh, yeah.
Look, property valuations are always scheduled to be available every 3 years. Unfortunately, we have obviously gone through a pandemic last year. Because of this, there's been some delays in this. Currently, the valuations are scheduled for around October 2021. That's the scheduling. Hopefully they come out by then. Everyone that's quite eager, we're almost there.
Nearly there. Awesome. Now, question number 7. This is for Aman. What are some tips when buying or selling a home? How many properties should you look at before buying a property? I mean, let's uncover that a little bit.
Look, to get textbook tips, the easiest answer is go and visit settle.govt.nz, and that'll give you ample information. A more realistic approach would be to consider interviewing your agent as number 1. To figure out if that agent is capable enough to find whatever you're looking for. And then the follow-on thing to do from there would be, I would expect, just like I expect from all of you, for me and my agents to interview every client that we come across so that we actually understand what it is that you want. And then you basically, being an agent and being equally for yourself, you do a feasibility analysis where you go, I'm wanting to spend, let's say, $1 million, and almost every single time, if your budget is $1 million, you are trying to buy something that's worth 1.1 or 1.2 million. You know what I mean? So this is where your agent kicks in and goes, the agent could look at it and go, well, look, this is possible, this is not possible. And there's always inside information that's not available to normal public, which is only sort of known to real estate agents. But yeah, there's a million questions that need to be answered, which is why we at Harcourts Milestone always do what we call a client onboarding meeting, and that normally goes for about 1.5 to maybe 2 hours long. And that's where we basically subject ourselves for our clients to interview us, and we interview our clients so that we actually understand what they're looking for. Yeah. And if I go back, sorry, Sanj, I'm just going to wrap up quickly. If I go back into my more sort of hardworking days, the beginning of my career, I had actually figured out that a lot of time people go to open homes, they actually don't have a vision. They know that I want 5-bedroom or a 6-bedroom or a 7-bedroom or 2-bedroom and so on and so forth. So people generally go and visit a property, and then they figure out that, oh, hang on, I like this thing in this property and I like that thing in that property. And then you kind of come up with an answer. If I was to ask, if I was asked how many properties, well, you did ask me, apologies on that, how many properties you should look at. I have sold properties to people within 5 minutes. Equally, I have got one of my very good clients who have become incredible friends, who actually, we looked for properties for well over a year. And yes, I did sell them a property after a year in Pakuranga. But yeah, so there is no short answer to it. But the most important thing is textbook book things to look at, settle.govt. More practical stuff, you need to go and sit in front of your agent, just like you would do to purchase, let's say, an appliance from a store. Doesn't matter how many reviews you check, you always go to Harvey Norman and you try to drill the person who's selling you something as to why you should buy TV X as opposed to TV Y as opposed to TV Z. So yeah, just follow the same approach.
Absolutely. No, I agree. And I'm sure that's a testament to the long-term relationships that you've built over time as well. Amazing. Now, question number 8 is again for Amin. Should I do a building inspection on a home that still has a master build warranty? That's a good one.
Brilliant question. I expect all my clients to do building inspections irrespective of house having master builder warranty or not, irrespective of a house being brand new or not. I have, in my 17 years, I have seen some cowboy builders where things that you and I would take as standard because a house has got a code compliance certificate, we figured out after 1 or 2 or 3 years that actually they don't even exist. The easiest example I could give you is going back a few years, and I wouldn't tell you the suburb or where the property is. A property was purchased by a client. They came in contact with me, and like most of our clients normally ask, you need something done in the property, you kind of ring up your real estate agent and go, hey, can you supply me with somebody who can do some electrical works or some concreting work or whatever. So in this case, it was a family that I got to know. They wanted some electrical work done at a property. So I sent Raul to have a look, only for Raul to come back and tell me, ask me, Aman, did you sell the house? Lucky enough, I actually hadn't. And when I asked him why, he mentioned that he opened up the wall to do whatever they needed done, and he found no insulation in the house. Now, the sad part is that even if you were to do a building inspection report, you're still probably not going to pick it up because you can't do invasive testing. Or most of the building inspector don't even look at it because you take it on face value. And that's when I say that you should know an agent, and that hopefully your agent knows who the builder is. Those of you who have known me for long enough, you would know that in 2010, I stopped technically selling secondhand or even built houses. And that was my biggest reasoning behind it, because there was just too much bad press to get, because every Tom, Dick and Harry was becoming a builder. Just like in today's market, every single person walking around is now a builder and developer. So yeah, you should by all means do building inspection on, irrespective of a house being brand new, master build, old, whatever it is, you must always do building inspection. And I'll add one more thing to it. If you are purchasing a property off the plans, now you're not going to get a chance to do building inspection. Then in that scenario, what you do is generally off the plans properties will come with a maintenance period. Some cheeky builders, developers would tell you it's 90 days. Under the Resource Management Act, it's minimum 1 year. So what you want to do is when you go into the property, because the property is not lived in, so there will be things that needs done. There'll be paint patches, there'll be taps that might not work, switches that might not work, and so on and so forth. So what you want to do is you want to wait till you're, let's say, at least 3 months, even though you have 1 year to do for the maintenance period. You wait at least 3 months or to your whatever your maintenance period is, and then you get a building inspector to come in and do a building inspection report. Whatever comes in that building inspection report, you simply pass it on saying, here is my maintenance list. And I have found that that works quite incredibly well. I specifically am gifted that I generally know who my builders are, who my developers are, and I have a degree of trust with them. Otherwise, we just don't take on any builder or developer's work. So those of you who know me, you know that I generally stand behind everything that we do. But yeah, short answer is you must always do building inspections. Again, settle.govt.nz is a good place to start. There is also another website. I think it's gosh, I'm going to mention that in the next video. It's home. Sorry, I'll just stop there.
We'll leave a comment under the video as well, just for the people that do want to know the second website as well. So that's easy.
Fantastic.
Amazing.
That's really.
Thank you for that, Aman. Now we are on to our last question, and this is for Tigbir Singh. Ha, said it right this time.
All right.
Great. So the last question is, with speculation of increasing interest rates, how do you feel this would impact the New Zealand housing market? Do you think this would affect prices and stock availability? It's quite a good one.
Quite a good one. This one probably deserves a dialogue. This one really deserves an in-depth sort of conversation. Reason why is because there's many different facets to this. Now I'm going to open the floor up to everyone here as well. So if anyone has any comments or points to add on to, by all means do it. Quick thing that we need to look at. If we look at sort of interest rates, what it does is once your interest rates sort of increase, it really affects cash flows from a personal buyer perspective. Once that sort of affects your cash flow, it limits your borrowing capacity. So once that happens, you then need to figure out, based on your portfolio, what your equity looks like, based on your earnings, what your income looks like, and then based on the interest calculations, your mortgage broker or your finance advisor will kind of say, hey, look, you've got X capacity. Generally, when interest rates increase, that sort of decreases for a buyer perspective. Because of that, it will then limit demand that you'll see out in the wider market. And simple economics say when demand gets constricted a little bit, you'll start to see a little bit of a correction in the market. Now, do I think that's a bad thing at this point in time? I don't think so. Given how property values have increased and where property prices sit currently, it's relatively high. And when you see a little bit of a correction in the market, it does. There's positives to it, and there's also negative to it. Now, if we look at sort of outside of the property industry as well, once sort of interest rates increase, especially for different industries that sort of feed into the property industry, you have corporates where cash flow becomes tight. You have, your business cases change, your cash flows change, your sort of financing requirements change, and because of all these sort of trigger effects that it has in the corporate world, that those sort of effects you will see start to trickle down into the property market, and hence you'll start to feel some of the things happening outside of our industry. So interest rates, yes, you can apply it to the property industry only, but it has a wider economic effect, which you'll start to feel, especially within the property industry.
Amazing.
Anything else to add, guys?
Look, I could talk about it till tomorrow morning, but I think, like you said, it needs to be a dialogue, and there is just so many moving parts to this conversation. I think that your answer is sufficient enough for the time being, Tiggy.
Amazing. Now, with that, I want to thank all four of you for your time, and thank you for your knowledge that you have provided for us. It has been truly beneficial, and I'm sure a lot of the viewers will find it very helpful in their property journey as well. In the meantime, I want to thank the viewers. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for your questions that you sent through, and we will make sure that we continue to do these sessions to make sure that we are all sharing all of the intel that we can to really help you progress and grow in your property journey. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, you know, the usual spiel. Make sure that you, but more importantly, just make sure that you share this video that you feel would be really helpful to somebody right now who has a lot of questions about the property market. In the meantime, we hope you keep safe, we hope you keep well, and we will see you next time. Thank you. Bye.